Okay, this is going to be a real quick recording about how to go about answering a 4 questions assessment that you guys are going to be taking for the second time and final time in class on Wednesday. I'm going to use the research example that we used in our last assessment about the caterpillar. So, to quick review, we have a woolly bear caterpillar. They get infected by parasites. We see this wasp laying parasite eggs inside of it. Those parasite eggs grow inside of the caterpillar and eventually consume the caterpillar from the inside out, killing it. And when infected, scientists had noticed this behavior. The caterpillars change their feeding preferences, so their choice about what to feed. And they begin eating toxic plants that normally are toxic to them. So there's the behavior. The question is then, what is the cause of that behavior? What is the function of that behavior? And you will write these out in complete sentences if you are taking this assessment in class. Okay, what is the cause, function? How does the behavior develop? Okay. And then lastly, how does the behavior evolve? So be able to write those questions out to earn a 1. Then you're going to talk about each one. For cause, you have 2 main things you need to talk about. Internal causes and external causes. In this case, internal causes are going to be the chemicals released when they're being attacked by the parasite as it consumes their body. You might think in this case that the parasite itself is the internal trigger because they're laid inside of themselves, but really it's going to be more the chemistry of the body as it responds to the attack. External causes are going to be the parasite, something outside of their body that triggers the behavior. You're going to elaborate on this when you take the test, okay? I'm not writing the whole thing out. I'm just giving you the framework. When you talk about function, you need to talk about resources, how it... I need to expand that screen so you can see it. How it prevents death. And then how those things lead to greater reproductive success. Okay, so the function. They get resources. Sometimes this behavior doesn't really get you a resource. They're eating something, so I guess you could make the argument that they're getting food, but it's more about preventing death. So in this case, the eating of toxic plants prevents death. The toxic plants act as a medicine, keeping the caterpillar from dying from the parasites. In the long term, this is going to allow the caterpillar to reach maturity, become a moth or a butterfly, and then go on and actually reproduce themselves. So the function of eating toxic plants is to survive. Survival will lead to greater reproduction. You need to talk about reproductive success as well as the resource it gets or how it prevents death. Okay, I don't know if the example that you guys are going to get on Wednesday is going to be one where they get a resource or if it's going to be one where it prevents them from dying. It might even be both, but you need to be ready for either. Development, you need to be able to talk about a couple things. You need to be talking about how it changes with age. Okay, you need to talk about which parts are innate and which parts are learned. Okay, this behavior changes with age in the sense that, or it matures in the sense that it happens during the caterpillar stage. It's a behavior that only develops after the caterpillar's been infected. So then the behavior develops. If it hasn't been infected, we don't see the behavior. All this background stuff, by the way, I would be telling you about how it doesn't develop, or I wouldn't use the word develop, but I would say, this behavior begins when eggs are laid inside of it or something like that. This behavior is probably entirely innate. Do not expect the behavior you get on the summative test on Wednesday to be entirely innate. On that one, some parts are going to be innate, so they will be genetically programmed. Some parts will be learned. As far as evolution, I want to know, why do most individuals have this behavior? You need to talk about how over time only those with the behavior will reproduce, because any individuals that didn't have the behavior would have died from the parasites. So having the behavior allows you to reproduce. So in each generation, more will have the behavior. Now that's a generic answer, but you want to apply it to the animal. So in this case, more caterpillars will reproduce. In the next generation, more caterpillars that eat toxic plants when infected will be born. And the ones that don't eat the toxic plants, when they get infected, they just die off and they never have a chance to reproduce. So over a long period of time, eating toxic plants becomes common in every member of the population. Okay. All right, so then the second part of the test, I'm going to show you a experiment, and I'm going to ask you to tell me which question that experiment answered. Now, you could design an experiment to answer the cause, the function, the development, or the evolution of every behavior, including this caterpillar behavior. So here's the experiment. Now, this is the one I gave you on the test, but just to review. Scientists set up an experiment looking at the relationship between survival, parasitic infection, and eating toxic plants. Okay, so those three things. Here's what they found. That infected caterpillars died 97% of the time. All right, so they found it was it was a death sentence if you got infected with this parasite. They found that infected caterpillars that ate toxic plants only died 80% of the time, meaning they had a 17% survival increase. Healthy caterpillars, on the other hand, that ate the toxic plants died compared to other healthy caterpillars. So toxic plants only benefit you if you're infected. So all of the research findings were about the benefits that you get from eating the toxic plants, or the harm of eating a toxic plant. So it's all about what you get from it. That's the function. That's the definition of the function of a behavior, right? How it helps prevent death, how that leads to greater reproductive success. This is all about how it helps them survive. So there you go. That's the test, and prepare yourself and let me know if you have other questions.